and you search happy, and guess what? You're hardly going to find it anywhere. It's not in there. It does call for us to be set apart, which is what holy means. It doesn't mean perfect. It's set apart from this world to God, to live as a person like that. And so we shall be holy. Why? Because God himself is holy. If we call him our Father, then we need to be like our Father, not in our own power, but in his. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8 tells us, guys, and here I'm preaching to the choir, I know. But you guys need to be writing this down for some of the people that you know. They may be relatives, friends of yours from back in school days, whatever it is. This is a scripture that our entitlement society would just laugh at. I mean, there are guys that have got hard-working wives, and their wives are out there working hard. They sit there in the house all day long, don't do anything. The wives come back in after working hard all day and cook dinner and clean the house and take care of everything. That is an affront to God.
Amen.
You see what this passage says. If anyone does not provide for his relatives, his is a masculine pronoun. Am I right, English teachers? Especially for the members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Now, you recently lost a job, you're dealing with a disability, please do not be hurt or offended by what we're saying here. There's no intention on our part to say that a person who is genuinely unable to work has somehow violated the scripture. No, we're talking about people who can and should. You say, well, I can't make as much money doing these little things as I could in the field that I was in. You're going to tell God that on Judgment Day, right? That's your story and you're sticking to it? I don't think so. No, we don't want to do that. The word provide in that text, pronoi, is the word. It talks about something that's a little surprising. Go ahead and change the slide. Look at that with me. The verb means to proceed in advance. To note beforehand. To foresee. It's like the word providential when we relate to God. And so the idea is that as the provider in this home, as the father and the husband, I am supposed to be looking ahead. Is that different than be anxious for nothing? Yes, there's a difference between worrying about something which accomplishes what? Colitis, I don't know, you name it. But nothing good. But this is to say, I've spent time with the Lord in prayer, I've been in His Word, I've listened to my fire team, we're watching what's going on, and we're saying, you know what, we think our church needs a security team. We need somebody to make sure that what happened in South Carolina doesn't happen here. And so we're going to work up some teams to do that. And we're going to get the church to tell us how they want us to go about it. We're going to get somebody that's already doing it to come in and talk to us about it. But we need to do something. And so they take actions. Well, these kinds of actions need to be taken in the home as well. Those of you who were here last week and you saw the DVD that we showed. We're going to have another meeting this afternoon at 5. Because some people have said, I need some specific things that I need to do. You showed me something that was like, oh boy, the end of the world as we know it is September the 13th. And then you said, and God bless you, have a nice day. Well, is there anything I can do? Well, at 5 o'clock today, we're going to talk about some of that, just like we did last week. But the idea is, we have to be looking forward, looking ahead, having some understanding of expectations. General Dwight D. Eisenhower made this statement. It just cracked me up when I read it. I'd heard a friend of mine basically say the same thing. In preparing for a battle, I've always found that plans are useless. But planning is indispensable. So in other words, what I plan for, I may assume in plan A here that I'm going to do this and the enemy's going to do that. Remember, I'm dealing with principalities and powers of darkness, and they can see things I can't see. So I'm planning, how I'm going to handle it. I'll put on the full armor of God. I'm going to pray for my family, and we're going to have a spiritual life in our home, and I pray with my wife. But plan A is that this is what's going to happen. What happens if plan B comes? Wasn't it not a good thing that you did pray with your wife, that you did have a spiritual life in your family? Yes, you may get a new curve thrown. It may not have been exactly what you had planned for, and yet the planning was crucial to the fact that you were already preparing, already watching for what God was doing. So preemptive basics, plan A to plan B for a start. This is a little saying you need to know. And this is true of everything. Spiritual planning, physical planning. The little saying is, 1 is none, and 2 is 1. I'm going to give you a common example from prepping. In prepping, they would say, okay, plan A is, I go to the faucet, I turn the handle, that's the plan for water. And when I turn the handle, what happens? Water comes out. Okay, so what's plan B for when you turn the faucet and nothing comes out? So if all you have is plan A, you really have nothing. 1 is none. And two plans is really just 1. It's a matter of saying, I am pronoi, I am looking ahead, I am listening to God, I am going to provide for my family. I'm going to bring in the resources of my fire team, my squad, my church, my company, my battalion. We're going to serve our one King Master and the commander of us all. And we're going to take care of things. And so, is there going to be a situation where we might do without water? How am I going to take care of it? Can I have a plan A, plan B, plan C? If I have extra water around, is that a bad thing? Does it hurt anything to have extra water around? Now, you keep it in containers. Termites like it if you just turn it loose everywhere, but if you keep it in containers, it's A-okay. And so, what are you doing? You say, well, no, I know you guys and the preppers and y'all, but we don't do that. I say, so you got plan A. Plan A is really nothing if something happens. So plan A, plan B, put them together, you've got one plan. That's one opportunity for failure. How about food? Let's say that your favorite foods, now I can pick on somebody, I don't know, because Nick, he likes lots of stuff. But there's some of you here, I know you are my sister. She got up every morning of the world and she had Cheerios. And it didn't matter if it was Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, it didn't matter. It was Cheerios. And there was only one kind of Cheerios back then, right? The plain ones. And that's what she always ate. If she was planning food for some kind of an unusual circumstance that might come up, it'd be pretty easy to know what she was going to get for breakfast. It's going to be Cheerios. What kinds of things do you eat that you can store? You big on green beans? You like canned corn? Are there some meats that you can eat that can be things that you put in mason jars and that sort of thing? You say, preacher, why are we talking to dads about this? Because moms, even if they're running the budget, even if they're going to the store, they may not have the priorities that God is laying on your heart unless you share them. They have to know what's going on in your heart. You have to leak it out and present it a little bit and try to share it and give them a chance to digest it. Because remember, you guys are the ones, when you work with your children, you're allowing them to step out into some dangerous situations and you're backing them up, hopefully. But you're allowing them to develop confidence, whereas in many cases, the woman in the family is just trying to deal with, let's keep them safe and keep them right here. We have to step beyond those normal and easy things. Shelter. Yeah, it's important to have shelter. What happens if the shelter that you have is affected in some way? I had a little experience along with my wife. It's called Hurricane Rita. And, you know, we were blessed that shelter was provided and was here. Do you have any way set aside already that if your roof flew away, that you could maybe pull out a tarp or something and put over that? Does anybody remember blue roofs? Yeah, I thought we'd see some few hands. So there are a lot of things like that. How about security? Here's a book. It's got a bad guy on it. You can't see it. But this bad guy just walked up to me on the cover of this book, and he's holding a baseball bat. And he doesn't look really very friendly. And so this book is called Counterbalance, and it's about dealing with these kinds of issues. The website for this is, if you want to write it down, www.sheepdog, SHEEPDOG, Society, SOCIETY.org. And the premise is, in the world, there are sheep and there are wolves. And there need to be some sheepdogs. So Dad, you can be the sheepdog that protects your little lambs from the wolves that are out there. Do you know how to provide security? How about medical supplies? You know, this is like when we put it on the list, everybody's like, the pastor's telling us to get our tetanus shot updated. That's interesting. Well, talk to some people here who have had, you know, stepped on a nail and wound up in the hospital maybe. You know, they can tell you these kinds of things can happen. And so you need to be prepared with medical concerns also. So you have your fire team and squad. Have you made that spiritual preparation? That is something that the enemy will resist in your life. How about your neighborhood? Does your neighborhood see you as a blessing? Have you found out who in your neighborhood are sheepdogs, and wolves? Do you have some kind of plan how you will work together in your neighborhood in the case of something going wrong? You say, I have no idea where even to start with all of this. Well, you would think that I do commercials for government agencies sometimes, but here it is, ready.gov. That top section has tabs. You click on Be Informed, Make a Plan, Build a Kit. If you don't know how to do it, there's the basic, how to get started. But there are people in this congregation that would be more than happy to work with you even as a volunteer consultant, and to be able to help you look at your own home and your own circumstances and to give you some ideas about how to better improve your situation. Come and ask me if you're interested, and I'll put you in touch with one another. You say, well, why would we do all this? Here's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Wow. Do we have a situation in our culture today where it seems that more and more people who have a different worldview than Christianity, who are saying things that they call things that are evil good, and call things that are good evil? And so our culture is now flipping over from what it's been. And if that's going to be the spirit of the age, if that's going to be what we're going to have to deal with, then fellas, to provide for our families is going to call us to put some thought into it, to try to look ahead and to focus on how we can help not only our children, who may be adults, but our grandchildren and eventually great-grandchildren. Is there anything we can do to be a help? But I have to tell you today, if you're not ready for eternity, you're wasting your time buying a bunch of groceries and putting them in your house somewhere. Are you prepared for eternity? You see, even if you lost your life in some crisis situation, then your life lasted 40 years, 50 years, 70 years, however long, and you had that happen. If you have not prepared for eternity, you're going off into an eternity that is never going to change from what it is when you enter it. Whatever state you find yourself in, whether it's heaven or hell, regardless of any false teachings or religious beliefs about karma or things that are out there in the world, if this Word of God is true, whatever place you go to is where you will stay for time without end. Are you going to respond to Jesus' call to be born again? See, on this slide, well, we're not quite to it yet. There we go. John chapter 3 is focused entirely on the idea that God provided salvation because He loved us. Jesus is God's plan for salvation. There's no way to be able to be saved, to go to heaven,